Why were pink lightsabers so rare, and what was their meaning? The purple lightsaber was exceptionally rare and used only by force wielders who found balance between the light and the dark. However, there was also a rare variation of the lightsaber that was pink or magenta in color. The only way of acquiring one of this color was by obtaining a Dantari kyber crystal. These crystals could only be found in the incredibly rare eggs of the Kimrath, a species native to Dantooine. Just like in Star Wars canon, these crystals would change color depending on the force alignment of the wielder. While these crystals were usually blue or green, they could also come in rarer colorations, such as yellow, purple, red, and even pink. The meaning of pink lightsabers is not exactly known, although we do know that Palpatine gifted a magenta crystal to his most trusted Sith assassin, Mara Jade. Judging by the fact that she used a purple lightsaber after her redemption and marriage to Luke Skywalker, we can deduce that pink and magenta sabers may have more of a dark side alignment than the more common purple lightsaber. What was the extremely powerful lava lightsaber from Mustafar? The vast majority of Jedi and Sith used a blade made of extraordinarily hot plasma. However, there was a blade which differed significantly from ordinary lightsabers. Instead of the traditional kyber crystal found on Illum, this blade used a crystal forged in the fiery depths of Mustafar. Known as the lava crystal, it produced a less concentrated and less focused blade than a regular lightsaber. However, this didn't make it any less powerful. Instead of plasma, the blade's consistency was more similar to lava, making it heavier and therefore allowing for more brutal strikes. However, this was not what made it so dangerous. Due to its lava-like consistency, the blade would constantly spit out flames and would even splash molten lava into the face of opponents, making it extremely deadly. Why did Darth Revan use a purple lightsaber? Throughout his long life, Revan was seen using almost every blade color, including blue, green, red, and most famously purple. As both the Jedi and Sith, Revan was a warrior of justice. Sadly, his desire to seek justice against evil led to hatred and lust for revenge, eventually culminating in his fall to the dark side due to his quest to defend the galaxy against the true Sith Vitiate. Over his 350-year life, Revan was redeemed and fell back to the dark side several times. Just before his death, Revan was seen using a purple lightsaber, representing his use of the dark side for more noble reasons than a traditional Sith would, and his lack of affiliation with either the Jedi or the Sith Empire. Did lightsabers ever run out of battery? Lightsabers were powered by an extremely energy-dense diateum power cell. The energy from the power pack would then be focused and amplified through a kyber crystal, before passing through a magnetic ring that caused the plasma to turn back on itself, creating an incredibly energy-efficient system. While a small amount of energy would be emitted as light and heat energy, was pretty much negligible. However, a lot of energy would be expelled when cutting through blast doors, clankers, or lightsaber jewels. If a Jedi regularly used their lightsaber, they would have to charge it on the Coruscant Jedi Temple every few years, although it is known that some Jedi who relied heavily on the Force never needed to charge their lightsabers throughout their lifetimes. What were the extremely powerful invisible lightsabers? Lightsabers usually burned with intensely hot and bright plasma, making them extremely easy to detect. However, there were two extremely powerful lightsaber crystals which actually produced a clear blade. The first is more well known, but arguably less powerful. The Ghostfire crystal was extraordinarily rare and produced a translucent blade. The lightsaber also made no sound and produced illusory after effects of the blade, making it almost impossible for an opponent to defend against it. Barab ingots were another kind of lightsaber crystal that produced a clear blade. However, these lightsaber crystals were infused with a heavy dose of radiation. Therefore, the blade burned more like fire than plasma, causing any opponent struck by it to instantly burst into flame. Did any Jedi use red blades? Red blades have become synonymous with the dark side of the Force and the Sith. However, there were a few exceptions to this. Jedi Master Adi Gallia was known to utilize an exceptionally rare red kyber crystal. This imbued her saber with a red blade used most commonly by the Sith. However, after the revelation of the Sith's return, she was pressured into adopting a blue blade. Luke Skywalker and Leia were also seen using red blades. Leia used a red lightsaber for a time that had been gifted to her by Luke. Luke also used a shorter red blade in conjunction with his regular saber to defend against the highly unorthodox light whip on multiple occasions, although it is unknown why it possessed this coloration. Why did the Sith use red lightsabers? Apart from a very small minority, Sith solely utilized red blades. To find and connect with the kyber crystal, a Jedi must become one with the Force. However, this was not the way of the Sith, who sought to dominate the Force. In Legends, the Sith created their own synthetic kyber crystals as a show of dominance over the Force itself. The red crystals were the easiest to synthesize, creating the iconic red blade. However, in canon, the red blade was created through the domination of the kyber crystal itself. The Sith would pour their anger and hate into the crystal, in a process known as bleeding, transforming it into its iconic red coloration. Is the Darksaber more powerful than a regular lightsaber, and is it one of a kind? The Darksaber has one of the most distinctive saber designs, reflecting its unique and ancient Mandalorian heritage. Not only is the blade black, it is also shaped more like a traditional sword. However, the Darksaber was not the only weapon of this kind. Broad sabers were similar in design to the Darksaber, with a broader and flatter blade. These blades were unpopular with the Jedi, who saw them as inferior to the traditional saber, which had an omnidirectional cutting edge. However, while this may be a disadvantage to users of more extravagant and complex lightsaber forms, users of Form 1 could benefit immensely from the flat blade. The concentration of energy along one blade edge increased the heat intensity significantly, greatly benefiting the precise and measured strikes of a Form 1 user. What was the first lightsaber? The lightsaber was the weapon of choice for both the Jedi and Sith for thousands of years. As we discussed in a previous video, Force sabers were the first known energy blades in the galaxy. Instead of a lightsaber crystal, these were powered purely by the dark side of the Force and were used extensively by the Rakata and possibly by the Celestials that preceded them. However, the first true lightsaber came thousands of years after. Like modern lightsabers, these were powered by a battery cell and utilized a kyber crystal. However, due to the limits of technology at the time, these required heavy and cumbersome battery packs, greatly limiting their effectiveness. Despite these drawbacks, they were used extensively during the 100-Year Darkness and the Great Hyperspace War. The addition of superconductors, the recycled unspent energy, and more efficient batteries eventually made these battery packs obsolete, ushering in the modern lightsaber design. What happened to the Kyber Crystal Caves of Illum after Order 66? Illum served as a sacred place for the Jedi Order, it being the primary source of the kyber crystals that powered their lightsabers. As soon as the Empire rose to power, they began a massive mining operation on Illum, carving off whole sections of the planet's crust. Most of the kyber crystals were taken to be used within the focusing beams of the still very secret Death Star superlaser. When visiting the planet about a year after Order 66, Ahsoka noted that the remaining crystals no longer sang to her as they had during the Clone Wars, suggesting the Empire's activities had shrouded the planet in the dark side.
Why did some Jedi have purple lightsabers, and what was its meaning? The users of the purple lightsaber were exceedingly rare, with only a handful of Jedi using kyber crystals of this colour. In canon, purple lightsabers represented a balance between the light side of the Force and the dark side. Mace Windu used Form 7 lightsaber combat to channel aspects of the dark side, allowing him to become a formidable opponent even to a Sith Lord. However, while powerful, this lightsaber form and the way of utilising the dark side in combat was frowned upon by the wider Jedi Order, as it could easily lead to the Jedi giving way to his emotions and falling to the dark side, thus ensuring that the lightsaber colour was extremely rare.
How did the body of General Grievous wield Darth Bane's lightsaber? Over 1,000 years before the Clone Wars, Darth Bane vanquished the Sith of old and instigated the rule of two with his apprentice, Darth Xanar. As a reward for her loyalty, he gifted her an alchemically altered and powerful lightsaber crystal, known as Bane's Heart. Over the generations, this sacred crystal fell into the hands of various Sith and Dark Jedi, eventually being claimed by the famed separatist, General Grievous. After Grievous was defeated by Obi-Wan Kenobi, his cybernetic body was reanimated and reprogrammed by the newly formed Galactic Empire. Now renamed NK Necrosis, this fearsome droid was trained in the ways of the lightsaber by the same Magna Guards Grievous himself had trained. Armed with a double-bladed lightsaber powered by Bane's Heart lightsaber crystal, NK Necrosis was destroyed soon after its creation by a group of unknown spacers.
What was the most powerful lightsaber design? Exar Kun was a Dark Lord of the Sith, active over 4,000 years before the Clone Wars. Originally a Jedi Knight, his quest for Sith knowledge would eventually lead him to fall to the dark side and modify his saber. This saber hilt was the length of a regular saber, but could emit 2 plasma blades if desired. Exar also imbued it with the dark side, allowing it to easily cut through Beskar armor at its highest power setting. Both blades were also independently adjustable in length, allowing for an extremely unorthodox fighting style that was highly versatile. Exar Kun's dark side alterations imbued a sense of dread into Jedi close to it, and would later have to be quarantined by the Jedi Order due to its affinity to the dark side.
Why was Darth Revan's lightsaber crystal sacred to both the Jedi and the Sith? Darth Revan is remembered as the conflicted Sith, utilizing lightsabers of almost every color to represent his changing affiliation in the Force. Therefore, it seems fitting that one of the sabers he was rumored to use was sacred to both the Jedi and the Sith. Known as the Heart of the Guardian, this lightsaber crystal provided its wielder with increased speed and power through the Force and emitted a yellow blade with a red hue. This crystal was said to have been instrumental both in the creation of the Sith and Jedi Order. Although it seems likely, both orders' reverence of this crystal points to one common origin story from tens of thousands of years before the Clone Wars. Sith legend taught that its return would bring their dominance throughout the galaxy, while the Jedi believed it would bring the galaxy's salvation. Compilation.
Why were yellow lightsabers so rare for a Jedi? The Jedi Order was dominated by two main schools of thought, the Guardians and the Consulars. The Consulars sought to explore the will of the Force and wielded green lightsabers, while the Guardians acted as peacekeepers and wielded blue lightsabers. However, a third school of thought, known as the Sentinels, did exist and wielded yellow lightsabers. Although they had become quite rare by the Clone Wars era, they sought to find a balanced approach between the Consulars and the Guardians, utilizing both knowledge of the Force itself and skills as a warrior. They also concerned themselves with skills unrelated to the Force, such as utilizing new technology, espionage, as well as other real-world skills. Most Sentinels sought to utilize their skills to aid the citizens of the wider galaxy, rather than isolating themselves within the temple, and would rarely use a saber. This however meant the Jedi Temple would become dominated by the other two schools of thought, ultimately leading to less Padawan and Jedi Knights choosing to adopt the Sentinel philosophy, greatly reducing their numbers by the time of the Clone Wars.